I am cuckoo. I used to love that show.
That was after me, though.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you were.
I'm still a Howdy Doody.
Coming to you live on the Government Access Channel from Mario Bagnoni Chambers in beautiful downtown Erie. It's the Taxpayers Hotline Show with your hosts, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner.
Holy crow, you're back, John.
Guys, I know it's been a long, almost like a eternity since I've seen you.
And a lot has happened since you left.
Boy, I tell you.
You go away, John, and like the gates of hell open up.
You know, it's been a very hectic week for sure, or a hectic 2-3 weeks, because you had the Labor Day holiday, and then I was off the week before that, so it's been like a month.
Good to have you back, though.
Yeah, we got a caller on the air already.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Cass.
Yeah.
See, the viaduct's still standing. I thought they were supposed to demolish that.
Well, we're going to have an update from the engineer and the solicitor, but the contracts have been signed. I know that.
Yeah.
I have to find out what the delay's about. Originally, the delay was because the contractor was doing two projects. One was the Interchange Road project, and the other one was the concrete work around the viaduct. If you went up that area lately, you see that they were working on the sidewalks. That was part of the contract too.
Right.
So that had to be secured before the viaduct could come down.
Hey,
So I'll try to get you an update, okay?
yeah. Did you talk to the mayor?
I haven't had a chance to meet with him yet. He's like the most elusive person in the world.
Yeah. I see that. All right.
I think we're going to be having a meeting with him shortly, so I'll try to sit him down, okay?
Yeah, mention about between Peach and State there on 11th.
You're right.
All right. And ask him about they would ever put a handicap elevator in where the Y is.
Well, he can't force that, but we'll find out what the heck's the problem over there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, see you, Tiny. Yeah, the elevators are getting to be an issue.
Yeah, I see they're looking for a new executive director of the Y, I think, too.
Really?
That's what I thought I saw, but I saw the Viaduct Group had a fundraiser over the weekend.
Yeah. I don't really know what's holding that up right now. It's getting to be...
There's been a 7-year holdup. No, make that was 7 years, like 2 years ago.
I don't know if the lawsuit is holding it up.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, the injunction or whatever.
But the contracts have been signed.
You know who their lawyer is, don't you?
Who?
The Viaduct Group?
No.
Rick Filippi.
Oh, he still is?
I think so. I mean, he's at least their attorney.
Yeah, the trouble is, like, the contract's all been signed.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, well, a long time ago. I mean, like I say, the first phase was the state demanded that the sidewalks and the infrastructure around the bridge,
Which makes sense, yeah.
which had to be taken care of, like the piping and all that. And then the bridge would come down.
Right.
But that could be I'll have to check on what's holding it up again.
Right.
Because, all the final contracts were, we were all set to go. The demolition contracts were signed. It's been bid out to that. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. They're up at the Interchange Road.
Right. I had no life one night, so I was watching the replay of the city council meeting, and they're still talking about a public hearing, stuff like that. And, I just, I don't know, the issue's kind of like I wish that group would get behind some other initiatives.
Well, I start losing track of what's a public meeting, what's not a public meeting. We use terms so interchangeable. It's like, we have town hall meetings. Well,
I don't get a public meeting, what positive for that organization or that group could come out of a public meeting they're just, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't they just continue to give statistics and facts and to support their case?
I was to a number of what I call public meetings in the past when I wasn't a councilman. And I remember, they had the public speaking.
Yeah.
They gave testimony.
I
They had an advisory committee. And then they tell you the advisory committee wasn't really an advisory committee. Well, whose fault is that? If you're on a committee, open up your mouth.
I sat in the audience and listened to like 2 hours of that. Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Well, Kaz, this is the third year I've complained. Nothing's been done since.
What's that?
Parking on both sides of the street on East Avenue from 38th to the Pine Avenue. The college kids are up there now, and you can only get one car through there when if somebody's meeting the other way, you have to stop and let them come through.
Let me ask you a question. It's the college kids that are double parking now?
But they're not double parking. They're just they park opposite one another.
They what?
They park opposite one another. If they do that,
Yeah. I got to go up there and take a look. Is that, does that have odd even parking? Probably not, right? Hello?
slower.
Yeah, the snow blower.
Is he there?
You have, just do us a favor, turn the volume down on your TV, because we're getting like feedback and the delay.
Right, it's the left one.
Is there odd even parking there or not, right?
I'll have to call you back. My neighbor just stopped. I'll have to call you back.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll
Yeah.
wait for you.
Yeah.
I know that's I don't think they have odd even parking up there, because I don't.
Right.
And I know they're reluctant, but we're getting a lot of problems with college kids.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go to a zone parking system.
What's that?
That's like they have in Pittsburgh, where you put stickers on cars.
Oh, right. Oh, residents only?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna have to start changing some concepts of parking, because you know what? It's a problem now. It wasn't in the past, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I go up some of those streets, you cannot navigate them.
I can only imagine in the wintertime what it's like up there, especially in the hills.
Yeah.
I know when they do the streets, they do the main drags, the outlying areas.
When we had, I remember years ago when I lived near Ainsworth, imagine what that was like on game day.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon. Hey, John, it's nice to see you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is Mary, and I just wanted to say what a good time I had last week there on the Taxpayer Hotline. It was a lot of fun.
Well, we could have you on to finish up, because you didn't have
We got a lot of callers,
well, yeah, and somewhere with her, and so we got to get her back for a follow-up.
little pros and cons. That's good. A little
Yeah.
debate never hurts, for
Oh,
sure.
we had over 80 views, which was good.
No doubt.
Really? That's
Yeah,
good. Well, you know what? We'll have you back on for a follow-up so we can get into it a little bit deeper.
That would be great because, this past week, we've seen how many young black men murdered in the last couple weeks. And when you look at the information regarding ADD and the fact that water fluoridation causes ADD, now the research is showing that people with ADD, young people with ADD, are more likely to commit criminal acts because of, their neurological disorder.
Well, there's got to be something wrong, because I don't remember this kind of problem when I was a kid growing up. You, John?
No.
Well, we didn't fluoridate the water then either, Kaz.
Oh, that's true.
And I'm not saying all people with ADD commit criminal acts. I'm just saying that there is a serious spike in crime, and the research that I'm, getting and reading, and these are all medical journals, extremely, valuable research. It's, all this spike in ADD has started since right before fluoridation in our water.
I think I'm going to try to get a study session when it eases up here a little bit, and we'll have you come in and, it's something that we got to talk about, I think, long range.
Well, it's really important because I'm concerned about long range, but I'm also concerned about the young moms who get the WIC program.
Yeah.
And with the WIC program, they get free formula, and that formula has fluoride in it. Then they go to the sink to reconstitute their formula.
And they put more fluoride in there.
More fluoride. Then they do that sometimes 8 times maybe 10 times a day. And we are poisoning a whole generation.
Maybe we can get a chemist or a pharmacist to come in and talk about, you know.
Well, you know, you have to be careful because everybody's paycheck depends upon their stance that they take. You know, I've talked to numerous nonprofit organizations, and nobody wants to talk to me about it because they're worried they're going to lose their funding. And that's sad.
And so we over-medicate people, you know.
We over-medicate, and we're medicating people without their permission. Mass medication. You know, they did that in Nazi Germany. They mass medicated people.
Well, you know, we kind of admitted that when we dumped stuff in the water, we were, you know, putting chemicals in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they tried to cut back now how we dispose of medications. But the biggest problem is, and you know this, that when people don't realize that, you know, they tell you you're on a low sodium diet, and then there you go eating popcorn with salt on it. You know, you're not taking that into account, you know.
Well, and think of the people who have problems like kidney disease and heart disease and diabetes and thyroid disease. And the fluoride in the water increases their problem and makes it worse.
Well, yeah, and they don't realize that. You know, we look at it like, well, it's a glass of water, but you know, there's a cumulative effect.
It sure is. You know, once that toxin's in the body, it's not going to be excreted. It keeps compounding. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, not that I want to talk about everything all at once, but did you read in the paper yesterday the article about the Jefferson Society and their back taxes?
Yeah, our council hasn't talked about it formally yet. We were made aware of it. We're going to meet with the solicitor. My first inclination is that I think we have too many tax exempts, and I think when they are found to be, you know, gone through the process and found not to be relevant any longer, I think, you know, to the taxpayers, we owe our best effort to collect taxes.
Yeah, they owe something like $36,000.
Yeah, I mean, we got that all over the city. We're losing every time a property gets donated to the church or something, we lose more taxes. It's tough to go to the remaining homeowners and tell them, you know, you got to pick up the slack, because that's exactly what happens.
Well, and if you read Pat Howard's article in there, the Jefferson Society has gotten tons of money from the gaming revenue and for Perry 200 observance, and the list goes on and on. They have been given a lot of money. I mean,
that was nice that they did the fireworks for Perry 2000, but, you know, moving forward, you know, how many more tax exempts can we absorb in the city before, you know, the public's had enough and says, you know, I'm out of here?
Well, and unfortunately, we're getting a lot of people that are saying, I'm out of here. I talk to people about how I'm speaking out about fluoride and, you know, the problems that we have with our water and things like that. Kaz, it's sad. A lot of people are actively looking, and they want to move. They want to move to places that care about their health and care about their pocketbook.
I can't blame them. I mean, I went the other day. I was at a place where people had a chance to talk a little bit while we waited our turn. I got nailed. I mean, I can't blame them. I mean, I look at their frustration. You know, they look at us to say, you know, enough's enough.
Well, you know, Kaz, I don't know why you're getting nailed, because you're one of the only council people, you know.
Well, I think people like to talk, okay? And if they know they can talk to you, that's okay with me, because, you know, you never find out the truth by hiding. And, you know, there's a lot of unrest out there. I mean, when people kind of expect that their school taxes may go up, their sewer bill may go up, they start hearing rumors about, you know, their taxes are going up. and then they look and they find out that, perception or not, they can move over the border and get cheaper taxes. They start thinking about that, especially when they're older and they don't have, the source of income. And, that should not surprise anybody. But
if we're ever going to make Erie a better place and ever try to achieve the goals that the mayor's talking about, I believe, and not just because I'm passionate about this, but I believe we need to stop water fluoridation immediately because it's neurologically damaging a whole generation. Who is going to take care of those people when you and I are gone?
I think that, and not only that, cost-wise, health-wise, that's only one thing. And, there's a lot of other things that are bugging people. So, we got to start one thing at a time and and it's not a thing you can't solve, Well,
and the other thing is as I told you last week, they're adding more chlorine into the water. And the chemical reaction between the chlorine and the hydrofluorosilicic acids causes the lead pipes to leach more lead into the water system. Erie's going to be another Flint, Michigan.
There's got to be somebody out there that, a voice of reason that would come and testify,
Well, like I've done in the past, and I'll continue to do, I'm giving you guys research, medical research, that backs up everything I'm saying. I'm not just talking because I'm an old woman who likes to talk. I'm trying to give responsible information to show that what I'm saying is valid.
Hey, you and I talked about a personal situation, and I believe it may be responsible. I can't prove it, but I think, it could be because it happened later,
Absolutely. And then one more thing, and then I'll hang up. I don't want to be greedy here.
Okay.
I was looking at the Water Authority Board of Directors, and there happens to be an attorney on there, and I have to laugh. You know what he is? He's a personal injury attorney. Hello. That's just sad. It's like that should be a conflict of interest for him because it's all over the news. It's, there's lawsuits pending about fluoridation, and I don't know if he should be on there. That just doesn't seem right.
I will talk to my appointee and, make your position noted.
I hope you share my stuff with your appointee. This has to stop. And it has to stop sooner or later. Every day I think about the little babies being overdosed on fluoride. And those are potential really good citizens down the line, but by the time they get to be our age,
you and I have talked, we could issue pills if that's what they want,
That's exactly it. And it's a controlled dose. Exactly.
I mean, we wouldn't do it, but we would issue, with a proper recommendation from a dentist or a doctor, and if they couldn't afford it, we could give out vouchers.
That's what over 200 cities in the United States have now decided to do and be responsible. And I think Erie should go on board as being a responsible city who cares about their citizens. So,
thank you for calling.
I had so much fun. Thanks so much.
We'll have you back on again, though.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Kaz, she brought up the Jefferson Society situation, and, as you know, I was involved with the Perry 200. It's no big secret. What concerns me about the go ahead, we'll pick it up.
You want to hold your thought then?
Yeah, I'll hold it.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Hey, Cash. I have a question, too, because I haven't heard much more about it. But I know there's some discussion about the LERTA program maybe going into almost a county-wide possibility.
Well, for
people in the city, originally I thought it was just for the central downtown, but now maybe outskirts.
Well, I don't know what the county's going to do, but if for the way LERTA works, for it to work properly, if a community wants to do it, you have to get to make it work properly, you need the school district of that community and the county to agree to that portion like if Erie was gonna do it, but nobody else did, then the residents in Erie would have their county, school district, and city taxes not charged them for a period of 10 years.
In order for it to be, to gain its ultimate success,
Right.
all three taxing bodies need to give some type of alerta in order for it to maximize potential.
But you know, like if you're saying countywide, each community, the county can't make a rule for communities.
Right.
So even, let's say, even if the county would give their portion up, like every Fairview would have to do it, Gerard, you know, if they're gonna go countywide, every community would have to agree to do that.
Well, not about, was it 2 months ago, you guys had your liaison.
Right.
County council had their people, and the school, we sat here and watched in the school
Yep.
district, you guys all had a big powwow, which is communication.
And it looked like the school district may not be in a position to do it.
The school district is they're being babysat at this point, so, you know, people, everybody knows what needs to be done. Now the question is, will they do it?
Yeah.
In order to make things work out? That's up to you guys to decide.
But that's where we are now, Doc. We're still, we're fine tuning it now, the language. But there's still open dialogue with the school district, which has, if they don't go along with us, it's going to be a very ineffective LRTA.
Well, I can tell you right now that I know for a fact that they are talking about a tax increase. They're trying to force one on the school district. And for them to not be, there's no way there any will for them to be involved in alert if they have to raise
The trouble
taxes.
with what they don't see long range, John, is you can't say that if you don't give LRTA, you're not going to get those people to build, okay?
You know, Kaz, you and I talked about that, and I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Majority of the public don't watch this show. The majority of the public really don't read the newspaper.
Right.
But if they hear a LRTA and a tax increase, those board members are gone.
Well, we got to have a huge public hearing and explain to them that you're not losing any taxes that you presently accrue.
You know, you brought that up, you know, because you and I have talked about this before, and you are 100% correct. But the majority of voters in this city don't grasp that concept.
Well, you know, if they don't, what we're going to do is we're going to tread water for another 10 to 15 years.
You know, but, you know, the good thing that you guys are talking, there's communication going on, at least in that area. We have a lot to talk about today. But,
Hey, Doc?
The reason I had brought up about the LRTA, I had heard, and I don't know if I understood it correctly,
Yeah.
that if it is approved, people, even the common homeowner, could use LRTA to offset some of the taxes when they improve their house, like put a new roof on their house and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think it'd be a roof, Doc.
like, if
Go ahead.
you built a garage
Yeah.
or an addition, you would definitely get the 10-year LRTA, then down the line, you would have to pay.
Yeah, LRTA I don't think is going to cover, to my knowledge, it only covers new additions.
One thing also that I do, you're right, Doc. I mean, if you build a garage, it's 10-year tax-free. There's a lot of good things that come with that. You know, you get, you know, jobs, you know, the economy, the money being spent.
Plus you increase the assessed value of the city.
Correct. You know, and it adds to the tax base in the future. I mean, LRTA, it has a lot of pros and it has some cons. But, you know, one thing that I have heard from different government bodies is that whenever they put this new plan together, the taxpayers aren't going to get screwed like they did in the past and people taking advantage of different loopholes in the LRTA. They're closing those loopholes.
Well, yeah, like you got to
So,
stay here for,
You know, and
you know, you
it's
got to stay here
different.
for a period of
And you
time.
can't, you know, get after the LRTA, get it reassessed, and then your rates drop. There's different loopholes people have used to skate the system and, you know, take advantage of us, the taxpayers. But they're trying to work on some different aspects and make it so the school district doesn't, you know, take a beating.
Well,
And
I know council has talked, like you did, John, about if you get this, you're not eligible to apply for a reassessment for a number of years. Nor if you're a business, can you just pick up and,
right,
because you'll be liable for the old taxes.
right, you know, and
You know.
that's what Bush Industry or whoever took over up there. They
Yeah, they
built.
left.
They got the LRTA. built an extra part of the wing just to increase the sale value of the building. So not only did they get the LERTA, but they also got the extra money that the building was worth.
Right. See, Doc, for
And then they
you,
left.
if you wanted to build let's say a bigger garage or an addition,
Yeah.
that would be tax exempt. Just fixing your house, I don't think is going to be included because it's mainly it's to encourage building, and like people that might have thought about building a house in the city or putting an addition on. Like me, I right now there's no way I even think about putting a garage on. Give me 10 years off, to amortize my expense, and maybe I'll think about it. Now I'm in the ballpark. But this is why I try to tell the school board, right now, you're not going to get any more money out of me than what would be on what I own now. But if you give me a shot at alerta, maybe I increase my assessed value just by adding on a garage to my house. 10 years down the line, I have to pay that tax. But that's okay. I mean, we have to look at that, but just to set it straight, Doc, it usually applies only to new additions.
That's what I was going to ask. Who would have that information? Because the way I thought I heard it was if you put a new roof on your house, it would qualify.
Well, a lot of talk goes around. First of all, there's no plan in effect right now. The solicitor's office and the mayor's office are working out what they think would be a good. They're going to give us an idea of what it looks like, and then council will be able to. It'll take 2 readings, and council will be able to delete lines in there or add lines. Like John said, if we don't like the way it looks, we can adjust it accordingly. So there's no plan right now. If you were to ask anybody, there's nothing they can really tell you. I can tell you that basically what it looks like, and there's some debate now in council. Some people want it citywide. Right now it's only in what they call the CDBG zone. Some people are not sure about whether we should include the bayfront. It's also the length is in doubt. Is it going to be a full 10, staggered 10, a 5? There's nothing for sure yet. I think to the best of my knowledge, the mayor would like a citywide 10-year alerta, and that's probably what will be presented to council. But right now, there is nothing that anybody could really tell you positively that you could take to the bank and say, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, and then you got, certain elected officials coming in trying to say this and do that and do this and say that and trying to pretend like, oh, yeah, we're going to make this happen.
And you don't even know what the county or the school district's going to do yet. So, we haven't even got to the point where we have a first reading that's acceptable yet.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, in light of the Erie downtown development, buying that block of property on North Park Road here,
Right.
are those buildings classified as historic, that they have to be preserved?
Some of them are, yes. I would say, for sure, I know the building on the corner, they used to call it the Carter Building. It's where they made Carter's Little Liver Pills.
Right.
That building where there used to be a ballet studio and a bank there, you know what I'm talking about, John, right in the corner?
That's where one of the banks is now.
Yeah, that's historic.
I don't think that was part of the sale for some reason.
It might not be. The bus station is historic.
It's what used to be Purcell Hardware, that's still...
I'm not sure. I think it is. I think it might be under the register.
I'm sure that whole area.
The one where Starbucks is in?
Yeah.
I know the bus station is an example of, what did they call that? Modern, that was example of what became Coconut Joe's, the old Greyhound bus terminal. That's relevant. A couple of the buildings, I'm not sure if Tippy's Park Place was, but I have a funny feeling they probably are. So, yeah, they'll be either renovated or, I don't think they can be torn down easily unless you got some kind of problem with them.
Right, major flaws or infestation.
But I think a lot of them on that, a little known fact nobody knows about. It'd be nice if these guys, when they bought this, would do this. But there is underground businesses that existed there. Did you know that, John?
No, I didn't.
You know when you go to the YMCA and you got that barber shop in the basement?
Yeah.
Well, going along the Carter Building, there used to be, if you look at the sidewalk, you can see where it was filled in. There are storefronts on the basement level. In the old days, you could walk down in there, and you would have like barber shops and pool parlors down there. But, yeah, that, historically, that's why I think they're relevant, because there are things in there that have been covered up or, you know.
So I'm wondering, like, if some of those buildings there, if they might have something like possibly connected underground to the old underground railroad system that was probably way back then.
I was told there are tunnels underneath the park, but those are utility tunnels.
Right.
The rumor spread that that was how politicians got from one side to the other without being seen, but the utility workers told me straight out that some of the tunnels that exist under Perry Square are what they call utility tunnels, where they ran conduit and pipes when they did the park. But there are, someday when you're downtown, I'll show you, years ago a guy that owned one of the storefronts about where Bertrand's was and the old China Clipper took me in his basement and showed me the storefronts that had been covered up, just like, you know, the bathrooms that they dug up that time. So they're
Down in Perry Square there.
yeah, what they are is I don't know if you ever seen the old architecture where the Den restaurant that used to be at, what was it, 9th and Peach? No, 9th and Peach. They had an underground restaurant that was below ground level. So they covered them up in the old days, but who knows if they'd ever bring them back, you know.
Did they actually fill them in or just cover up the entrance? And or is the bathroom still kind of aired?
Well, they collapsed them in now. The last time they fixed that, I was in the hole before they collapsed it. And this time they filled it in properly, so, you know, they're done now. They're filled in and covered up for all eternity.
So no such luck that somebody left a toilet running?
No, there was a couple left there, believe it or not.
Oh.
There was a lot of marble on the wall. It was done nice in the old days. I extracted a piece of marble from the wall as a historical thing, and I mean, they weren't the prettiest thing in the world when they closed them, but the heaters, the door frames, they're still there. They're all covered up now, though, and when they repaved the sidewalk.
I hope you sanitize that marble.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, let's go. Just wondering about that LERTA program.
Yeah, you know, Doc, it's going to come out when we vote on it. I know the mayor's pushing for a full 10, but nothing is in writing yet.
Well, even if it's a reduction on some of, like, the improvements to a person's house, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. That's something to look at, but I don't think that comes under LERTA, though.
Okay, but see, like I said, doing that kind of coerces more jobs in the city, as well as more money getting put into the city for businesses, you know.
Yep.
It's just hard to sell, it all depends on how you guys handle the budget situation.
Yeah.
If you guys borrow from the reserve funds to plug this little gap, then, a LERTA might pass. But it's like I said a little bit ago, it's going to be hard to sell a LERTA and a tax increase.
Well, I can tell you, without a LERTA, you will probably not see a lot of development in the city. That's a given.
Well,
okay?
Nick Scott was on the news already saying, I want one the other day, so.
Well, it's not only him. I've talked to 3 or 4 of the biggest developers in Erie.
So, you know what? Hey, if Nick Scott gets one, I'd rather have him get one than somebody from out of town.
Look, Tom Kennedy and Nick Scott are going to be paying taxes, or they are paying taxes on what they're building. Okay?
Hopefully that works out for them well enough that they are able to do that, pay the taxes on that property.
Well, it's not only them, Doc. Think about you. Like, if you in your wildest dream all of a sudden wake up and say, I'd like to build a new garage or an addition to my house, okay, you're going to get the same break they are. Yeah. It's right across the board. And
people are, because they're rich, this and that, and they shouldn't get anything because they're rich. Well, they've invested in our community, and they live here.
Well, here's the only way you can raise taxes without raising taxes. I know that sounds funny, but you have to increase the assessed value of the city.
Yeah.
That means you have to bring more taxpayers on board.
Right.
It's no secret why Mill Creek and Summit are doing great. I mean, you open up a paper, what do you got? New Sonic restaurant coming.
Right.
You know, the mall is not empty. You look and there's another grocery store being built in Summit or in Mill Creek, right?
Yeah.
You wake, I mean, that's all assessed value. Hey, would you rather have the land sitting there or have a building on it? And we're not getting that right now. We're not getting any housing. We got empty lots. We got businesses that are closed down.
And then that means the more of us, the less of that we have, the more taxes we
So
have.
you know, giving a tax break to Nick Scott or to a homeowner, it's something we got to look at, because if that long-term increases the assessed value, you know, down the line, it can only help us. You know, but this is a long range, I mean, this problem is not going away overnight, so we have to do steps today that we might not see the fruit of those things for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have some tough decisions to make.
Let me get off the phone here so somebody else can call in. But John, good to hear your voice there. And the one little quick joke you might chuckle out. This came from Mark Twain. The doctor was so stressed out with work that he would go to the bar at night and get drunk. And he'd come home, and his wife told him, he says, honey, he said, I know you want to drink all the whiskey you want, but after you drink all that you can, then ask for a sarsaparilla. He said, yeah, but he says, if I drink all the whiskey I want, I can't say sarsaparilla.
Well, it's good to be Doc.
Doc.
It's good to be back, Doc. That's
Sarsaparilla.
I can't say sarsaparilla with sober.
You can?
No, I can't. But hey, let's backtrack. Oh my God,
Mark that note down here. Mark it down so you,
I'll remember.
go ahead, caller.
I'm calling back again while my neighbor came to the door.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, I was going to ask you, is there, I doubt if there is, there's no odd even parking up there, right?
Nope.
Yeah, this yet, we're,
It ends at, it's on East Avenue from 28th, well, from 26th to, no, it's all the way on, from 21st Street to 38th Street is parking on one side.
yeah, see, I don't know why they did that, but above 38th Street, like even where I live, and I live right near you,
I know.
it just, I think we got to relook at that.
Well, it's been 3 years since you've been looking.
Well, yeah, but they won't do anything. I mean, I got a traffic study right now, same problem you got on East 27th, and I'm getting terrible feedback. Bob Mursky and I have talked about your problem, and we've asked the engineers to look at it. Nothing's happened, so
You guys did other studies too on Pine Avenue, and
they just,
what were the outcomes of them?
they never get them. It just sits up there. I'm frustrated because we're creating problems now, like this gentleman has,
Yeah.
that are a result of things that weren't there 5-10 years ago. There's more kids now coming into the area. You know, there's problems. Like the one on East 27th, that's a problem that was created by moving something down there that wasn't there before. And this problem is from, like my neighborhood, I'm noticing I'm getting rentals on my neighborhood.
Now, this gets worse when there's snow on the ground
Oh, absolutely.
and the streets get narrower.
I'm gonna take a ride up to, you wanna call me and give me your address, off the air?
Yeah, I'll call back.
No, I mean, you got my number?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, call me, I'll take a ride over there. Because Bobby and I have talked about, we had problems all over Southeast Erie with the college kids. And we've talked about different things, but the traffic engineer doesn't want to do it. I can't get a majority of council to swing. But I think if they were to see the problem firsthand.
It seems to be worse during the weekend when everybody's there. I don't know if these kids drive.
Well, you know, the problem is that Mercyhurst has a rule about, I mean, he's trying to bring them all on campus, I heard. But the kids that aren't supposed to have cars or the ones that don't want to pay Mercyhurst are parking on the neighborhoods. And, you know yourself, there's probably more kids in there than are supposed to be. So you have 2 and 3 cars for every house. And like I'm noticing rentals on my street now.
And sometimes they park wrong way on the side of the street.
Yeah, and you know what? They're lazy. They don't want to get up in the morning, so they got a small driveway, so they park one car in the driveway, John, and 2 out in the street.
Okay, I'll let somebody else call.
Yeah, give me a call. I'm going to take a ride over to your house.
And you have to cut some of these long-winded people off.
I know. I think we've done a little bit better, and but you know, I'm going to come over. Like I said, I'm going to come over and talk with you.
Okay, have a good day.
You know what I'll have to do? I'll have to put a formal study in for yours too. And if I put enough studies in, maybe they'll wake up.
Put in a formal study, so we'll never hear about that one either.
Well, she has to make a recommendation to us. That's the problem.
Okay,
Okay, have a good day.
thanks.
But it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
What were you going to say now?
You know, I'm concerned about, you know, we have this, you know, these,
John, it's when you come on board.
can you hold on 1 second, please? Caller?
Okay.
What concerns me is that we have these solicitors that are representing all these different, actually there's one solicitor that represents a lot of these entities that are talking about,
You're talking about one law firm.
LERTA, tax, actually it's just one solicitor.
Yeah.
He represents this entity, that entity. How the heck is anybody supposed to expect bargaining in good faith when the same solicitor represents both of the organizations or the taxing bodies that are trying to get a tax break and collects taxes? That is a conflict of interest. It's the same attorney for multiple organizations and government entities. You know what I'm talking about. That's a problem. Sorry, go ahead, caller.
I have a way that we can figure this hole out that we're in, the city, with their debt payment coming due. Let's take out another bond.
No, John. Hey, look.
It'll be less for a few years, and then it'll come and kick you in the butt.
Well, we're gonna probably. I'll tell you the truth. There's talk about a bond for necessary infrastructure at the sewer department.
I don't think we should do that.
Well, we toured the plant, John, and it is in need of some upgrades.
Well, it isn't in need of some upgrades, but why do we take out a $70 million bond?
Well, that is what they want to do up there is not. I agree with you on paving streets. I've never been a fan of that, but this would qualify because this is putting in equipment that has a long life. And it has to do with screens and what do you call it? They have
Flow meters.
skimmers.
Well, you got to have a separator.
Well, they have one plant closed down. They had one whole tank closed down when we were up there, and the shaft was broken. We could see it. I mean, it didn't take a genius to figure out it was broken.
Let me ask you a question, Kevin.
Yeah.
Are everybody in the county, are we all on the same sewer rate? Do we all pay the same?
No, county gets a different rate.
Is it lower or higher than ours?
I think it's lower than our rates.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, we should all pay the same teeth.
Well,
Not only that, they should, the one thing that we have
they do pay.
is sewer. That is the one thing that we have in this region that we could use to bargain with and to bring extra revenue into this city.
I think the billing I have to check on it for you.
If they pay less,
Well,
I'm going to flip out. Seriously.
Don't you remember when Mario would fight about the fact that he wanted because we had to pipe the water uphill?
I don't remember.
Well, you pipe water uphill.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, you have to because, right.
And you can only take water out of Lake Erie up to a little bit south of Summit.
True, the water line.
It's what they call the water table shed.
The watershed.
And by law, because it's Canadian water and U.S. water,
Okay.
the watershed can only be taken out so far.
Okay.
So the sewer, because Mario wanted to do that, because the PUC was involved, you can only do what they did. And they come up with a convoluted formula of what the townships have to pay and what we have to pay. So now what came out of that was roughly, if we were to float a bond issue, okay, 40% of that and the cost of issuing that bond would come out of the townships, okay?
Yeah.
So it's a 60-40 split based on, what they decided. But I agree with you now. But that's
Wow.
what?
I mean, I can't believe, I mean, the sewer is the one thing that we have that we can bargain
Not
with.
everybody discharges into the sewer system. So what they did was they said, of the total users. Now, I don't think Fairview or Northeast dumps into ours, okay?
Water and sewer, yeah, that's
So-
the one thing we have to
They
bargain
pump
with.
into the lake.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the ones that use our system,
Well, they have
60% of them the costs are attributed to the city.
yeah, they have flow meters, and the rate is cheaper than what.
And here's what's happening. The townships have been closing the gap on what they submit to the city. So what they've been doing, and this caused part of the problem recently, is they're maximizing, what they're doing is separating their storm sewer from their wastewater. So they're not discharging as much into the city system. And by doing that, our flow rates are down, and they're getting very efficient at it. So the problem is that, that, and you take the fact that we lost hammer mill paper, okay? And the cost of the sewer system is getting up there.
Well, where do these trucks come in with that wastewater they're bringing down and dumping in?
Some of that, they told us the other day that that could be some of it is from the companies that do the portable toilets. They have agreements with them. I'll ask them what the rest of it is. That might be agreements they have with,
You're talking about 10,000 gallons of wastewater coming in, and I see 2 and 3 trucks coming down constantly.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of portable johns for
well,
that.
I'm not saying it's all portable johns. It could be whatever communities they're dealing with might have agreements worked out where they take they take it out of their system and bring it to ours, and because they showed us where the trucks come in, where they dump their, like say if you have,
They have a connection, a quick connect where they dump it in the.
and there's flow meters there to take care of that.
You want to know, listen to this one, John. Good friend of mine used to be Mill Creek Township supervisor. Their sewer system out there is a complete joke. Every time it rains, I mean, and when you look at, the water's got to go somewhere. So where it goes is into the creeks and into the,
Yeah.
and when you look at the peninsula, where is the E. coli, most of the E. coli, where they 10, beach 10 and 11, right on the end?
Right where the water comes.
What happens is that water gets into those creeks
Yeah.
and streams, float out into the bay, and the predominant winds blow it right towards that way.
Yep.
And they do nothing about it.
Well, that's the gut feds got to be involved with that.
But
right? The state and the feds got
They'll
to.
say it's a geological, it's a phenomenal, it's a Mother Nature thing. But every single supervisor in Mill Creek knows what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's no secret that, the extra building that they did out in the townships has been causing a lot of problems over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
our system was built to handle the city,
Yeah.
and, now we're handling a community. If you include Mill Creek and not Harbor Creek, you're talking about 160,000 people.
So we sell the water to Summit, we sell it to these other areas.
What the Water Authority does.
The Water Authority sells it to them. What they need to do is raise those rates out in the county.
So I remember when I moved up here, you couldn't leave your faucet on. It would blow the water right out, and if you let it alone, you'd have a flood in your kitchen and everything else. Now, you almost have to go out with a booster pump to get the water to come out. There's so many people are serving.
John, I'm not sure we can charge more for, I don't know how the PUC works. I don't, they're
I don't
crazy.
know, I'm not an expert in it either.
This is where we got into trouble. Remember, John, years ago, with the mayor, when he started pumping water out to Mill Creek, that opened Pandora's box, right?
Yeah.
We, up to that time, if we had not done that, we controlled, they would have had to go to court to get our water.
Well, it's the same thing when they sold Erie Golf Course. They put lines up and everything else for them.
Yeah.
Who got stuck with that? John Q. Public.
Yeah, and a certain builder,
Sold it for a song and a dance.
and a certain builder made out really great.
Yeah, just like this Florida deal. I know a bunch of builders who are just waiting to jump in and buy these homes. You should put a codices on that LURTA. No builder can buy more than one property to get in on this LURTA.
Well, John brought up a good point, though, that what we want to do is we're going to say that if we give you the LRTA, at least this is going to be my vote, that A, you can't ask for a reassessment for a number of years, and B, if you're a business, if you move out before so many years, then you're liable for the back taxes.
And if you're a construction builder, you should be limited and not be able to have more than one LERTA in the city.
Well, why would you want to do that, John?
Why? Why would you want to let a Montana, a Palermo, or come in and buy all this property up?
But John, I look next to my house. I got the possibility of I would say at least 3 houses could be built next.
Palermo up there?
Yeah. And he hasn't touched it, okay? No, it's not Palermo. Palermo built on his property, okay?
Okay.
So the guy that owns the property next to me, he hasn't even touched it, okay? Now, maybe with a LERTA, he does. And then, you know what? I don't care if he puts 3 houses up
Yeah,
there.
you can have some more college students living next to you.
Well, look. Okay.
There you go. But,
But you know what? If the land sits there,
yeah,
I can always move, okay?
yeah,
But here's the problem. If we don't get some development,
yeah.
okay? I
Right.
mean, it's not going to
You
be...
got to expand your tax base.
Why
Yeah.
don't we go back into a land tax instead of a building tax?
Well, they had a chance, and I think it was...
Your buddy.
No, it was Mayor Savacchio, I think, that vetoed
Your
it.
buddy shot that down.
Who?
Georgia.
Yeah, wasn't it Savacchio that voted it down? She vetoed it?
He voted to sustain it instead of override it.
Yeah, and they didn't have the vote, yeah,
You needed 5 votes.
right, and he wouldn't go along with it.
Just like Tulio said, give me 4 sure votes.
I mean, Mario had a good idea, you know, if you want to sit on vacant property, it's going to cost you more,
Right.
you know, and look, I know probably college kids would move there, but I have to look at it like right now, I got an empty field that's nothing but a garbage dump.
Yeah, you could go hang. You
Oh,
could.
every Friday night is bonfire and beer night.
Cass could crash some parties over there. So.
Actually, though, John, we could take care of that problem if we did our job, which is, you know,
Yeah.
you do like other communities do, and you crack down, you say, you know what, you don't have bonfires, you don't encourage them.
True.
But you know what we do? We sit on our duff. You know, other communities got college housing, and they don't have the problem we do.
Code enforcement violation. How many have we had?
Hardly any.
Well, then we get rid of Zimmerman. Get somebody who come in and do the job.
You know, they play Mercy here. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. You know, you want them in the community. They do bring some stuff, but the neighborhood and the residents that live up there.
Well, other communities, what they've done, though, they walk around the beginning of the school year. They explain to them that this is a residential area, and that we're not going to put up with it.
Well, Mercyhurst, they do that. They do have their own police force.
I'll
now.
bail on
Yeah,
in
but-
case somebody wants to come in. All
Okay.
I can say is Cleveland didn't lose.
And that's right. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, though. Mercyhurst is not a police force,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
They cannot go off campus.
I think they do now.
No,
I think so.
I don't think so. They have no legal authority off campus.
They may not have legal authority, but I think they do patrol.
They can go to their places, okay?
Uh-huh.
But they have no right to come into my neighborhood, okay?
I
If a
think
kid
they-
rents a house and he's a student,
I think they've changed that.
they can't. They have to go through the Erie Police.
Well, they can't arrest. I'm not going to say they have arresting powers or anything, but I think they do patrol.
I think you're wrong, John. I'll
I
check on
might.
it.
I might be.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz, I just got home, so maybe you covered this, I don't know. But your budget's out of whack, right, with the city?
Yes, we were,
There was in the newspaper, now maybe you got this covered already. There was about 200 homes with back taxes that they didn't pay for a long time.
right.
Landlords. So before you hit us with another tax increase, go after these people who owe you all this money.
Well, we do. Here's the problem. There's a legal proceeding, and council brought that up, but we have in the past done one of two things. We do presently collect back taxes, and if they don't pay, then they go through unfortunately, the judicial process where they get put up on sheriff's sale. If you've seen recently, that's what happened to Jefferson Society. They didn't pay for 2 years, so they went on but you can't just go in there. We go after them, and we do try to get the money off them. So the problem isn't with real estate, because if we get too much real estate taxes, what we'll do is we'll sell them to a third party, and we'll take like 90 or 80 cents on the dollar if it comes to that, rather than, wait around.
I can't believe all the people who owe the city money. I just couldn't believe it.
Well, here's the bigger hole. Remember we closed the garbage hole, right? You remember that a few years back?
No, go ahead.
Well, we had the garbage bills that were unpaid, remember?
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
yeah,
we closed that loophole to some degree. I mean, people are either making payments, some people have been added to the list, but the list is not growing. It's staying stable or going down slowly, because you always have people that can't pay one way or the other, but now we have the ability to turn their water off. The bigger issue for me is there are some fees around here that haven't been collected, and that is that bothers me. There's some parking tickets out there and things that we need to shut a hole on real quick. But I agree with you, but I think we've done a good job on real estate. We just have to make sure we close a lot of other loopholes we have here. But I will, I'll check on the real estate is not much of a problem.
Yeah.
It just, it looks bad, but that one you have to go through the legal proceedings.
I'll tell you what, give them 60 days. They don't pay their taxes.
Well, I'd like to, but those are state laws that we have to deal with. And I think, what I would suggest you do, and I tell people this, do like I do. I talk to Harkins and Bizarro, all the legislators I can find, and tell them we got to change the laws because we can no longer live by the old rules, having to wait 2 years and 3 years. If you can't pay and you're making an effort, that's one thing. But if you're just sitting there, that's a whole different thing,
Yeah.
But, a lot of things we can't do because of state law.
One more thing, Kaz, about the city. You know that pickup they're having now, the trash
Yeah.
they do weekly? There's only one flaw in that.
What's that?
When we have the big one in April and through there, you could put a lot of stuff out, like iron products, different kind of scrap iron you have.
Right.
And people pick it up. They're scavengers.
They
pick it
won't
up
be
and
doing
get
it
rid
now,
of
though, right?
Won't pick that stuff up.
Yeah, somebody told me that's going to be the downfall. That
Downfall. I'll give you an example. I had an old window air conditioner. It was about 35 years old. It didn't work anymore. And I put it out last spring, and within 15 minutes it was gone.
And so what did you do? You put another piece out there, right?
Yeah, but I could put the scrap iron or a couple poles I had in the backyard that were no good, rusted out. I put them out there, and they were gone.
You're
in
right.
About 10 minutes.
I put some door frames out there. I popped the glass out.
We can't do that no more then.
Well, it's going to be tougher because in the past they viewed it like a smorgasbord, and I don't really care.
Those people who pick these things up, they needed the money, I guess. They had a whole pickup truck full of iron products.
Well, they also helped us because that's less stuff we had to take to the, less cost on the city to take it to the landfill.
Yeah.
So it served a double purpose. I don't care. Right now I have an old refrigerator in the basement. I'll probably call one of these guys to come on and get it because they pick it up for free and they make the money. What do I care? How much am I going to make off a refrigerator?
About 2 years ago, a neighbor of mine put out an old hot water tank he replaced.
Yeah.
In about an hour, it was gone.
I believe it.
Grabbed it. And we're not going to have that no more. So
Yeah, how much
that's one bad flaw in that.
Yeah, how much are you going to make on a couple of the items you put out if you wanted to haul them down to the trash dealer? You're not going to make that much, Let them do it,
Bulk.
You got a whole pickup full of stuff. You might be okay, like those guys were doing.
Yeah, I liked what they did. I thought, they were.
You need bulk.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of electronics guys that were picking up the TVs to
Fixing them. One man's
rob the
junk
parts out of them.
One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Well, if you're a TV guy, you take the parts out of the TV, right?
Or microwaves or, anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's all I got, Kaz. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, thank you. And I like your idea, but I'm looking more at a couple other areas that we can make a bigger hit quicker. But I like his idea, though. Okay,
Raising taxes right now,
it's
not a good idea.
John. It was admitted to us. We got quite a bit of money out there in unpaid tickets.
Yeah, I saw. I read that somewhere.
That's when I first proposed that, it bothered me.
You'll be our last caller. Go ahead.
Hey, Kaz, you mentioned you got a refrigerator in your basement.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they still have it, but Penelec had a program, if you have a working refrigerator to get rid of.
Well, it doesn't work anymore, that's a problem.
Huh?
It doesn't work anymore.
Oh, well, call Penelec, they used to, they pick it up and give you $50 for it.
Yeah, I can do that, or, there's a lot of guys that go around. My problem was, my son had good intentions, but, he disabled it by accident one day.
Okay.
All right.
So, I don't know, give them a call because they took a freezer from me. They give you $50 for it, but they said they have their own crew to come pick it up.
Yeah, usually it's if you buy a new appliance, I think. Wasn't it, or not?
All right, thanks for calling.
All right, take care.
Well,
Listen,
John, you,
hold on, before we go off the air.
yeah, well, you disable it, okay?
Okay, we've had a couple deaths, with John McCain passing away.
I made a comment at the last council meeting.
Oh, did you? And, Andre Horton's stepson passed away. And, the
We
thing.
also lost Patty Toffo.
Okay.
She was very, very into the Polish community with the scholarship funds.
Yeah, I mean,
She was my treasurer for a number of years.
our thoughts and prayers go out to those guys, and,
John McCain is an example of whatever side of the fence you're on.
yeah,
When you talk about, here's a man that was captured, he could have had a free ride home.
Yeah.
All he had to do was say, call my daddy, and he didn't.
yeah,
He spent 5 years in captivity.
yeah.
He's from my generation, and you
He's
know
a
what?
war hero. He's a hero.
He's from my generation, and
Yeah. And the fact that our president slammed him,
intolerable from a man that
he's a moron.
found foot problems to get out of the
He's a
military.
moron.
And he calls this guy a loser because he got captured.
Yeah. We could talk about Trump on a
You
whole-
can't get captured in the United States,
Yeah,
sitting
right.
at home drink,
Yeah, right. But with that being said, I think we are out of time. Cass, thanks for having me.
John, you certainly turn up the wick here a little bit.
Sometimes, you got to stir the pot a little bit. And there's a lot of stuff that, honestly, Cass, I really can't say.
Well, no, we're gonna, I said we had a lot to talk about, and
We didn't
believe
even
me,
we didn't even touch the surface of things.
no, there's,
No, we could probably go for another 2 hours. But next week,
you're gonna be back?
probably. Well,
Okay, yeah, believe me, John, and to the public, there's so much out there that we don't have all the answers to yet, but
Right. People actually kind of knew what was going on behind the scenes, and then people say, "Oh, well, don't tell us." Well,
I get a lot of people come up to me about they watch the show or
Yeah.
call in. We want your calls, though.
yeah, we get the same people that call, but a lot of people do watch the show more than actually I thought.
And we don't take your name or anything, so call in.
No, we don't care. We don't want to know who you are.
Well, we do, but not we.
Well, we want to know what you think, but we don't.
We're not gonna tell who
You're
you are.
anonymous. So thanks for having me, and Kaz. The Browns didn't lose,
No, they didn't lose.
so that's a plus.
Right.
And maybe we'll know who they play next
There's a
week.
lot of sad faces in the Berg right now.
I know.
They thought they were gonna get a clean wipeout.
Yeah. Who they play next week?
New Orleans.
Well, that's a loss. Okay, Mike, start the music.
I'll be drinking my
Back to reality.
I'll be drinking my Cafe Du Monde
Back
while
to
the Browns
reality.
whoop them.
Back to reality.
This has been Taxpayers Hotline with your host, Kaz Kwiatkowski and John Steiner. Thanks for watching.